And getting started, our goal for today's webinar is to provide information and advice to our Fall and Awareness Month event planners, and of course to share some of the names and stories of the special events community. And we have 3 amazing panelists with us today that will give a face to what special events is all about, and they have a great deal of insight to share with us too. And so the format of today's presentation is that it will first feature a short presentation about the basic components of special events fundraising, and then it will follow by a presentation by our panelists who will answer a series of questions. And so, before we get into the whole presentation, I'd actually like to turn it over to Jenna, who is our PHA Special Events Associate, and Jenna works with event planners who are in their 2nd year of their event or beyond, and she's actually going to go ahead and introduce 2 of today's panelists. So let me advance the slide and then turn it over to Jenna.
Thank you, Jess, and you can hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, hello everyone and welcome. Thank you all for coming. We're very excited to have 3 fantastic event planners here to share their stories with you and talk about some of their experiences when they've been planning events. Joanne Schmidt is one of our panelists, and she hosts the New York Fun Walk in Long Island, New York. And they've been doing this for a number of years. This is going to be their 7th annual event coming up in November. And this has turned into a very large walkathon, which also has some other components, a raffle, and then a tribute balloon release to all those who have been lost to PH. In last year, they had around 400 people in attendance, and that's kind of been the going numbers for the past few years. And Joanne can tell you a bit more about the walk and everything, but they have a lot of walk teams. So that's one big component of their event is the team aspect that many people like to join together and work together to fundraise and then walk as a team at the actual walk. Also, an exciting thing about this upcoming year's event is, and Joanne can also tell you more about this, I don't want to steal her thunder, but they're going to be partnering with the New York Islanders professional hockey team, and will actually be holding their fun walk at the New York Islanders hockey stadium. So that's something that's very exciting, and something that's really going to help the event grow and gain even more visibility. So,
okay. And we are also going to feature Missy Godina. I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. Missy is the main organizer of a first-year event, the inaugural Walk to Cure PH, which is the Ellie Godina Memorial Walk. And it took place in Euclid, Ohio. And it was, again, a first-year event, which took place in April 2011. And it featured, it was in memory of her daughter, Ellie, and Missy will tell you a lot more about the walk itself. But it was a fantastic event. It was a walk, and it featured a raffle and various activity stations that people could get involved with. Also, they had a lot of special guests that attended the walk, including Merle Reisman. She's a very active PH community member in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and she's a PH patient. And then there were actually a couple of special guests at the walk itself, including the mayor of Euclid and then the superintendent of Euclid City Schools as a result of Missy's work as a teacher. And the walk had about 400 participants, and that's just an amazing thing for a first-time walk. And I will turn it back over to Jenna to introduce Amy.
Yep, it's me again. Amy Mosley is going to be our 3rd panelist this afternoon, and she co-hosts the event Spur a Cure, which is a fun Western-themed dinner and evening of entertainment in Phoenix, Arizona. Last spring was their 5th annual event. I actually was able to go out there and be a part of the event. It was just a great evening. And yeah, like I said, they have the dinner, they have live entertainment, they have a silent auction. And then just some other fun kind of themed activities incorporated into the evening. They do a dress up, an old time dress up photo booth. So you can dress up in Western wear with all the hats and apparel, and they just do a lot of fun things like that. And then they also had Dr. Jeremy Feldman, who's a pH treating specialist. He was one of the guest speakers for the event.
Great. Okay, and now we're going to just do a very brief presentation about the basics of special events. And so a special event functions both as a fundraiser and as an awareness raiser. So the nice thing about special events is that it gives a chance for both the pH community and your own neighborhood, city, and town to interact at a fun and engaging event. And it also provides a great opportunity to raise better public understanding of pH. And as a lot of our event organizers will attest to, it does cost a little bit of money to put on any type of special event, but the idea is that your event will fundraise enough to offset costs, and then you'll still be able to give back to the pH community. When you first decide to host an event, you want to consider a couple of different things. First is your event type. So do you want to host a walk, a golf tournament, maybe a gala or fundraising dinner, or maybe you're creative and want to turn your hobby into a fundraising event. For instance, we do have this summer a woman who is a pH patient that is into motorcycling. So she's organizing a poker run that will benefit PHA. The next thing you want to think about is your date and location. And so will your date be in the fall? Will it be with Awareness Month, which is in November? And then your location, think about the weather. Will the weather be good to have the event outdoors? Maybe it's too hot or too cold at that time. Maybe you'll need to host the event indoors. And then also think about your location. Will it have a cost, or will you be able to use or rent the space for free? And then finally, think about your general planning timeline. So if you're thinking about doing an Awareness Month or fall event, you should really start in June, July, maybe even the beginning of August. You'll need to set aside time to fundraise, to promote your event, and then also tend to all the event logistics. So with those basic things in place, the next thing you'll want to do, of course, is to contact PHA. Let us know that you're doing an event, and we'll get you set up as an official PHA recognized event, and we'll talk next steps with you and get you all the resources that you need. You also will want to recruit volunteers to help you plan for the day of the event. And then think about a fundraising plan. So who will you ask for funding? Will it be the pharmaceutical companies, local businesses that you have relationships with, or maybe it's through networking with family and friends? And of course, when you think about fundraising, you'll also want to set yourself a fundraising goal for your event, and challenge yourself. It's okay to really reach for the sky with that. Okay, so moving ahead, talking a little bit more about funding. So this is really what makes events possible. Funding comes from a lot of different areas, including event sponsorships. And an event sponsorship is monies in exchange for some sort of marketing value. So for instance, if you got Nike to sponsor your special event, they would give you a certain amount of money in exchange for being able to sort of promote themselves at the event, whether it be through having their logo more visible or maybe having a representative at the event. It sort of gets their name out in the community. So it's a two-way relationship, the idea of a sponsorship. Funding can come also from general donations. It comes from registration fees, so you'll want to set a level for people to be able to attend your event. And then you have possibly exhibit and table fees. This is really popular with walks and other casual events. Online fundraising pages. This is a way for your friends and family who are participating in your event to get the word out to their friends and family and ask for personal sponsorships. And online fundraising is a resource that PHA can provide to you. And then of course, on the day of your event, there are many ways to fundraise then as well through silent auctions or even live auctions for more formal events like dinners and galas, and then raffles of donated items. This is also a really popular thing with walkathons. And then the last thing is when you decide to do a special event for PHA, we do have a couple of programs for you, and we definitely encourage you to take advantage of them. There's PHA Sea Grant Program, which is for first-time event planners. It provides startup funds. And then there's also PHA Central Fund for Special Events, which is actually a sponsorship program. So your event would get sponsorship from this fund. And you can always contact Jenna or myself for more information about these programs, and we'll help you through the application process for both. Continuing on, so you have funding that makes events possible, but then it's people who make events truly special. And so maybe some of you have seen this graphic before on the left, but it really gives a nice visual for getting people excited about your event so that they encourage their friends to participate, and then those people then encourage their friends, and so on and so forth. So sort of like using word of mouth to get the word out there. And on your right, you'll see an example of a flyer for Missy's Walk, the Walk to Cure PH in memory of her daughter Ellie. And this was a really fantastic flyer that basically got the information out there that needed to get out there to someone to want to attend. So the flyer was used to promote the event far and wide. You can see the name, the event logo, and then the most important details like the date, time, and location at the top, followed by Ellie's story, which was to give importance to the event and why it was necessary to participate. And then that was followed by the walk schedule and how to either register or donate at the bottom of the flyer. And Missy's Walk was a really, really great example of how using word of mouth you can get a lot of people to attend your event. Another great way that you can get people to attend and participate in your event is to use social networking. So I'm sure all of you have a Facebook account, and you can actually use Facebook and Twitter to get the word out to a lot of people quickly. So you can see two examples of PHA special events, and their organizers set up Facebook pages specifically for their event. And so the one on the left is actually from Amy's event, Spur a Cure. And then the one on the right is for a 5K taking place this Saturday called the Race to Cure PH. And as you can see, both events did a really super job of getting their friends and networks to like their event page. And you can see that red circle on both pictures, and you can see how many people really were happy to participate in that event and wanted to get updates. Okay, so you have your funding, you have the people that are participating, and so really putting it all together, special events really create a better public understanding of PH. And so you can see there are ways to get your event promoted in both print and online newspapers, and we have someone on staff here to help you with that, and she's a fantastic resource to anyone that's planning a special event or anyone that just really wants to tell their story to the media. So you can see two examples, obviously, from these two special events. One took place last year. One's actually taking place this weekend, and there was a big story that ran on the front page of the local paper. And then, of course, you can see at the bottom of the slide contact information for Elizabeth Williams, who would be your media resource here at PHA. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and unmute our panelists, and we'll get started with the panel portion. Well, we'll go ahead and go in the order in which you are presented. So first, Joanne, followed by Missy, and then Amy. So our first question for you to answer is to first, please share your connection to PH, and then what motivated you to plan and host a fundraiser for PH or PHA?
Okay, I guess I'll go first. This is Joanne. Hi, everybody. My connection to pulmonary hypertension is that I'm a patient. I'm actually the third person in my family to be diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension. So my brother John and I have had it, and my mom lost her sister to it in 1963. We formed our Long Island support group in 1999. And we actually started out very, very small. We know that, I think what motivated us to plan and host a fundraiser was our sincere desire to push the research and make a difference and make an impact. As you sit around a support group meeting and there's so many people who are sick, you feel helpless. Well, what can we do to change things? So we started out really, really small, and we started out with believe it or not, a yard sale, and then moved up to a luncheon, and then we moved up to the walk, which has attracted so many people. We have 400 or 500 people every year, and this year we're doing our 7th annual walk here on Long Island. So really, our motivation is definitely to push that research, to fund that research for a cure.
Thank you so much, Joanne. That's amazing.
Hi, my name is Missy Godina. Last February, we lost our daughter to pulmonary hypertension. We had taken our daughter to numerous doctors, and they kept saying it was something else. And so my husband and I decided that instead of being angry, we wanted to make a difference and raise awareness about the disease. Because before Ellie was diagnosed, we had no idea what pulmonary hypertension was, or we had never heard of it. So we decided to take our grief and make something positive come out of it and help find a cure for this rare lung disease. So that's how we started out, and we decided to do a walk because Ellie loved to be outside. She loved to walk in her wagon, and so that's where our theme came from, was we wanted to make a difference, and we wanted to celebrate Ellie's life and leave a long-lasting legacy.
Thanks, Missy.
Hi, this is Amy. My connection to PH is through a friend of mine. He and I and his wife and my husband had gone, 12 years ago on a trip to the mountains, and my friend Mark could barely breathe, and he, thought altitude sickness, or he was affected by the altitude, and anyway, after lots of testing, was diagnosed with PH. So I've been very close to his treatment and his peaks and valleys for, it was 8 years, and he passed away actually. So he and his wife and I decided to start a fundraiser for the similar reasons the other two panelists shared, to really raise awareness and raise money for this very unknown, underdiagnosed, all that. And so anyway, he died the day after our inaugural event. So the three of us with a committee of friends got together to plan a fundraiser. There was an existing fundraiser in Phoenix, a golf tournament, and none of us were golfers, and we volunteered at that event every year, but we said, let's try something different for the non-golfing folks to kind of break outside of the golfing kind of common fundraiser. So anyway, Mark and Trish and I started this 5 years ago, had our 5th one, as Jenna said, in April, and have always had the Western theme because we were two out of the three of us native of Phoenix and Arizona, and appreciated that part of our kind of culture out here. So that's what brought me to PH and motivated me to get involved in this work.
Great. Thank you all so much for answering that question. Our next question for the panel is to please share some of your most successful strategies for securing event sponsorships and or donations. So we'll go ahead and start with Joanne again.
Wow, I wish I had some wonderful strategies to share with you guys, but essentially we've followed the same strategy from the get-go. We're trying to break out, but I'll tell you guys what we do. Of course, we do use PHA's seed grant, which has been very, very helpful for seeding our event. And then essentially we would go out to all of the pharmas and the Accredos of the world and those companies, our suppliers, And we did that. We have, in the last few years, started to use our mailing list of people who've attended events in the past and gone to them. So it could be, the father of a patient who works for a company and ask, hey, would your company be interested in sponsoring our event? We haven't been successful, but I'm going to say we haven't been successful with that yet, because I think this year that may change for us. We're moving our venue from a local park to a large concert venue where the New York Islanders hockey team plays. So we're hoping that that is going to maybe be a little more appealing to companies that maybe don't have a direct connection to pulmonary hypertension. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we are going to be able to reach out to unrelated companies for sponsorships. Donations, we have been really successful. Last year our walk raised $70,000, and that was our net. We were really, really fortunate. And I think we've been really lucky with our donations because we have gotten a large amount of returning people every year. This is our 7th year, and I see the same names over and over again. And those folks are reaching out to their friends and family. And we also have at least, and this number grows every year, now I think we have 14 families who have lost someone, and they look at the walk as their opportunity to remember that person and raise money, and it gives them, a cause and something to really embrace. So the number of families and friends that are coming to our walk every year who have lost someone, that grows. That number is growing every single year, and I think that kind of filters out and has increased our donations every year. Okay. So that's it for me.
Thanks, Joanne.
For me, this is Missy speaking. I wrote a letter to local area businesses. I also applied for the SEED grant and all of the other grants through PHA, and I was awarded those grants, so that was a big help. But I think a lot of luck that we had with the donations and the sponsorship that we have received was through the word of mouth and through my personal letter that I wrote as a mother, how devastating this is, how rare this disease is. And we also placed Ellie's picture on the letter request. And I think a lot of people could not say no because after seeing her picture and listening to the story in the letter, it was very hard for people to say no to being a sponsor for the event, and that was very helpful. Also, the online fundraising through FirstGiving was very successful. I know that people signed up on FirstGiving and they created web pages, which really helped with the fundraising. And we did a lot of fundraising of small events, and I know that's in our next question, but I just wanted to mention, I think personalizing your letter request for sponsorship and donations really had a big effect on the success we had with sponsorship and donations. I mean, at our events we had 21 baskets, and each basket ranged from $300 to $500 in value. And people were just very generous, especially after hearing the story and, wanting to learn more about PH.
Thanks, Missy.
Hi, this is Amy. Similar to what Missy and Joanne shared, the biggest thing for us in terms of sponsorship is creating a good template that we, customized every year with the dates and times, and went to the pharmas, went to the suppliers, and actually went to the offices, the pulmonary offices in the Valley, left them flyers, a more generic version of that to get the word out. We really challenged everybody on our committee to, similar to what I think it was Joanne said, to think about their own circle of influence and really if you work for a company of any size, mostly any company will support it. My company supported my event this year and the last year, and it was because I asked. They aren't, I work for a bank for Wells Fargo, and, they just really support their team members giving back to the community. So I think we had that happen. We had a father of a committee member who banked at another bank who said, hey, we'll send a van and we'll match all the coins that everybody brings to the event that night. We'll do a match. So, we ended up going and buying a ton of hundreds of dollars worth of coins to sell to people, if you will, to exchange to people, if you will, to get that match. So that was a nice little extra that wasn't related to the disease in the pharmaceutical or supplier community. So we did market to some big companies here in the Valley, and kind of like Joanne said, it's not, it wasn't hugely successful, but we think we're priming the pump for more of that in future years. In terms of donations, same as I think Missy said, personal letter talking about the patient that I knew best. We also have this year a patient on our committee, and it really helped rally us around. We're doing this for Pat, was her name, and so we really helped kind of coach Pat to do the same thing, because we hadn't had, since Mark passed away, somebody with the disease on the committee for a while. So that has been really helpful for us, is to have somebody on the committee with the disease that can help tell the story and be the person that we're all working towards. So the personal letters were important. We created, again, a template that all of us could send out to all of our family and friends. We used First Giving, so how can you help? Well, you can come to the event, you can donate a silent auction item, you can donate money. And, I just found that everybody that I've supported in the past supported me. I just needed to ask. So we got a lot of donations that way. And then the other thing that I think is super important that we really tried to do is anytime I got a personal donation, I wrote a handwritten thank you note to them, thanking them for doing that. And then using the multiple marketing avenues, as Jenna was sharing, our Facebook page, we would post reminders on Facebook, buy your tickets, come to our event, can't come, do this. So we kind of had a very informal kind of social networking strategy to keep the event in people's mind and forefront of their calendars. And all of us on the committee had our own personal Facebook pages, so we could link to our event Facebook page. So we were, I was hitting my 300-plus people that I'm friends with on Facebook, as were everybody else. So I was kind of embarrassed when I saw only 54 likes or whatever you showed on that slide. But it really, that page touched, at least 1,000 people, and, it really is that trickle-down effect to use Twitter and Facebook, and but yet we realized that we have people interested in what we're doing that aren't on those avenues, so we still had to snail mail things, we still had to email things. So almost everything we did on Facebook, we also did via email to our own contact list. So I'll be glad someday when we're all on Facebook.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. You guys gave some really, really great ideas. We'll move on to the third question, and then we'll follow with a break for questions. So everyone who's out there listening, be thinking about any questions that you might have, and we'll break for questions after this third piece. And the question for our panelists is, tell us about the creative methods you use to get the word out about your event and increase participation. And we'll start with Joanne once again.
Okay. Well, I think, again, it's the PH community that is the folks that you have to hit. So we have used PHA sites message boards. You guys have done mailings for us to everyone in our area, and I think that mailing was really one of the greatest things, because it was just a simple postcard, but it created an avalanche of email in my inbox of people saying, oh, I'm all the way in New Jersey, but I lost someone to PH, or I know someone who has PH. We want to participate in your walk. I'm always shocked every year at how far people will travel to participate in an event. And last year we had a family come all the way from Syracuse, New York. These people are traveling, 6-7 hours. Deep in New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. They want to participate in an event. So that mailing was really helpful. Also, since we're doing this now, this will be our 7th year, I've actually created a mailing list. So when I ask people to register, I get their contact information, I get their email address, and then I put them on a special New York Fun Walk email list. So I hit them with emails periodically. Of course, Facebook has been, we've definitely used that, and I'm definitely going to be creating, I think we just used our support group Facebook site last year, but I think this year we will create a special page just for our event. We did advertise in newspapers, local newspapers. And what else? I think that's about it. I think I hit all the major ones. Oh, and radio stations. That's the other one I wanted to mention. The radio stations are usually very open to, if you send them the information about your event, they're usually very, very open to send out notifications and little, PSAs about your event too. So definitely hit up your local radio stations.
Great.
This is Missy. I use the posters a lot. We have 60 posters created, and I hung them in different storefronts that are popular in the community. That was one way. We also, through my district, we have a media, like a everyday daily district news. We put it on that. We posted it on some of the community boards out in the community, so it was on that. But I think our biggest and most successful area was the many fundraisers that we had created. Starting in November, especially during Awareness Month, we had a happy hour at one of the local bars. And what we did there was I had created some pamphlets, and Jessica had sent me some information from PHA about pulmonary hypertension. And we had a big happy hour there, and that was very successful just to get the word out about pulmonary hypertension and about the walk. We had saved the date pieces of paper that we handed out to people just to start raising the awareness. We had done some little mini fundraisers at the event, at the happy hour. We did like a 50-50 raffle. We auctioned off some Browns tickets, just some little minor things. But then that was our first one. Then in February, getting closer to the event, we had a ladies' night, and there were a whole bunch of different vendors that came, and different ladies. It attracted different ladies of all ages, and like once again, we had a lot of awareness stuff out for people to see, save the date. Also, my school, the children at my school wanted to do something to support me and my efforts, and so they had a change war, so all the kids brought in money from spare change from home, and then what I did was the class that raised the most money, I ended up buying a pizza and we had a pizza party for. We sold awareness suckers throughout the month, just letting you know what pulmonary hypertension was. It was just a purple sucker with the awareness ribbon, and that was very successful. We had raffle baskets at our walk, which raised a lot of money, and so that was very successful. And I think once again, the online registration and people writing their own stories and why they wanted to support our walk was very helpful in fundraising itself.
Great. Thanks, Missy.
This is Amy. In addition to the social media that I already mentioned, some of the other things that we did to get the word out was we all on our committee kind of divided and conquered attending the local support groups, PH support groups. Again, we're in a bigger city, so we had 3 support groups plus one in Tucson, which isn't too far. So we tried to hit all of those as often as we could prior to the event. I think we started 6 months out, and we really went there and talked about why we're doing this. We're doing this for research for this disease. They're all experiencing in one way or the other, and we encouraged them to come to the event. We encouraged them, if it was a financial hardship, to come to the event, that some of the pharmaceutical sponsors got tickets for their donation, their support, their sponsorship. So we had plenty of sponsorships, if you will, dinner sponsorships for PH patients. We really wanted back to the comment about building awareness, we really wanted to build awareness. We wanted PH patients there that wanted to be there. We wanted them to be able to bring their family and friends. We encouraged them. We left them flyers and postcards to invite their friends and family, because as somebody not personally touched by the disease, I always want to know how I can help somebody that has a disease. And so we really encouraged the support group participants to invite their friends and family to support you by coming to this event and come and learn a little bit more about what I'm living with, that sort of thing. So we really encourage that to happen by giving them the tools and the suggestions to get people there. The mailings, as you said, to the area database, the National PH, was very helpful. We didn't have a lot of luck with media, and again, it's not an expertise of anybody on our committee. The PH resources, the media kits and all that are great. Again, I don't know if it's a big city thing, but most radio stations, TV stations, newspapers, everybody wants money to talk about events. I mean, we got online on the pages that would allow, add an event to this page. I just don't have any feeling for if that was successful or not, but we didn't get any other more immediate media coverage in terms of, being on the news or on the TV, PSAs, or a radio station. It's just a little bit more difficult, and again, it might be our lack of expertise, but I'm told by a friend that knows media and public relations here that most any of them charge for the privilege to have any airtime. So we struggled there a bit, but again, as I think I mentioned earlier, we left plenty of flyers at doctors' offices, pulmonologists primarily, and just left the Lung Association, Heart Association. Those groups were more than willing to have a pile of our event flyers on the table.
Great. Thanks so much to everyone for answering those questions. And now we're actually going to break for some questions. So just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to unmute everyone's line. So if anyone does have any questions, just feel free to pipe up on the phone because your line will be unmuted.
Amy, the one thing that did come up while people are still formulating questions in their brains, one thing that we found was really important to our success is to have somebody with a kind of a project management mindset on our committee that kept us on track at our meetings and tracked action items and to-dos and really held each other accountable for getting things done and, really documenting where we were on things. So that would be another suggestion that I know has helped us keep things from falling through the cracks.
Sure. That's really great.
And I ended up being that person, but you can use a Word table or an Excel spreadsheet or a Microsoft project, depending on everybody's kind of technology acumen. But we just really, it kept us in front of our mind, the path we were on.
I have to agree with you. That's one of the most important things that you do when you're planning your event is having a reliable committee, because without a reliable committee, things will fall apart. I know we met every month. We had an agenda. You know, everybody had a role to do and, you know, was held accountable. And, you know, everybody, you know, everyone had their opinion, but they weren't strong opinions, and everyone listened to each other, you know, while we talked. And, you know, like you said, you were the committee person, you know, the head of the committee, you know, so was I. But, you know, that's the most important thing, is that everyone's willing to work together to make the event successful.
Yeah, committee is definitely very important and can hold each other up throughout a time-consuming process, but a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any questions before we just do the last question for our panelists? Okay, you guys are a quiet group. I'm just going to keep the lines unmuted again just for the sake of simplicity, because after this question we will just have one last call for questions from the audience, and then we'll wrap the webinar up. So the last question for our panelists is to please share a practical piece of advice as it pertains to an event planning skill.
Okay, this is Joanne, and I want to hit two things. If you're sitting there thinking, gosh, you know, I can't do this, it's too big, I would encourage everybody, start small. You know, start with something small. You don't have to do a golf outing, you know, right out of the gate. And because once you get your feet wet with planning an event, it definitely becomes easier. And if you can, you know, form your committees and get some help, things will just go smoothly. I mean, at this point now, our walk is just running so well because we've done it before and we're familiar with it. And the other thing I would encourage you all to think about is, and I tell this to my support group, everyone has a network. At our walk every year, we do a raffle as well as the walk and raising money for the walk. And the raffle creates a tremendous amount of excitement. And people think, well, I can't ask for anything. I'm embarrassed. And you know, you have to say to yourself, the worst thing they could say to you is, sorry, no. And you know, maybe you say thank you so much, and we'll try again next year. But remind everybody that they have a network. When I asked for, hey guys, try to get donations for the raffle, I said to everybody, what's your favorite restaurant? Where do you go that they know you? You know, when you think about it, you know, you've got a favorite restaurant, and when you walk in, that owner knows you. Ask them, hey, here's a letter. Could you possibly could you donate a gift certificate for our raffle? We're having this fundraiser. And you'd be surprised. You'll be surprised, but you have to have a thick skin and always smile and say thank you, and maybe you'll help us next year. And the other thing I just wanted to bring up is we also do a memorial balloon release at our walk every year. And I just want to tell people, don't be afraid of this. At this point, we've gotten so many folks who, again, I think I said this before, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself.
Hi.
But someone who has lost somebody, and the memorial balloon release gives them an opportunity to participate in the walk and remind them how serious this event is, and that we're doing serious stuff here. We're trying to save lives. So don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to remember those who have lost. And that's really it.
Thanks, Joanne.
Okay.
Again, this is Missy. I think having a reliable committee is your most important thing. People that you can count on, people you can trust, you know, people that are reliable and are going to put their heart and soul into the event is so important. And I truly believe in the mini fundraising. It helps, because I know in the beginning when we set our budget, I was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to pay for all of this?
Okay.
And I mean, I was just so surprised by the support that we received from sponsorships and from donations of local area businesses, and, you know, just getting the word out about pulmonary hypertension and raising awareness and the money and how important it is, you know, to raise money and awareness about this rare lung disease. You know, I can't, you know, express how important the mini fundraising events were. And I know my committee and I, after we had Ellie's Walk, we met again and we kind of debriefed about how we can improve things to make them better for next year, and what what mini fundraisers worked and what didn't work, and maybe coming up with new ones for next year that are going to hit everybody. We try to make our mini fundraisers kind of reflect different age groups. Like the bar theme was for like men, and then we had a ladies' night that kind of drew in a woman's crowd. So just different things, different themes. Just to raise awareness, get the word out there about pulmonary hypertension, and try to raise money to find a cure for this rare lung disease.
This is Amy. I'll round this out, not to completely repeat, but I think the key for us is to ask for help. And I think it was Joanne mentioned it's not easy if that's not how you're made. But I've really watched our team grow by trying to make it as easy as possible. And some of those ways is we made up copies of the letter, the donation and sponsorship request letter, and everybody had them in their car. To your point, when you go to places often enough, people recognize you. They are the perfect people to ask because most of them have a budget for this kind of thing, and they'd much rather give it to a patron that is a regular. And so I guess really coaching people around that focus it around you're building awareness for this disease. I can't tell you how many people I've met that go, oh, I know somebody with that, just as a result of being willing to talk about it. So having the letter, having the First Giving site available. If people are online types and like to buy online, it is an easy way to donate. I got donations from Rochester, New York, Chicago, all over the country, tapping my network outside of the Phoenix area, people who want to help you. So encouraging people to do that and not be afraid to ask. Again, if nothing else, you've built awareness about the disease, even if you got to know. And to start early so that you have plenty of time to get if you're doing a silent auction, for example, we really try to start early and get them to date that things for a year after our event night so that we can be ahead of the game and not so frantic towards closer to the event. Somebody else mentioned getting diversity on your project team, on your event team. I have different skills than the next person. I always end up being the MC because I'm happy to be with a microphone in my mouth. So, there's other people on the team that really want to play a back seat and, do other things, go shopping for decorations and that sort of thing. So, having diversity and enough people to really make, what do they say, many hands make light work. And let's see, again, last but not least, what Missy said is we found it's very important to do a lessons learned as soon after the event as possible. It's really hard because we're usually either off to whatever we've had on hold while we've been planning the event, or we're exhausted, whatever the case may be. But it's really important while the information's fresh to have what went well, what could we do different next year before you forget it, and then the next year comes along and you wished you'd remembered to do it differently. So that's my list.
Thanks, Amy, and thank you so much, Joanne, Missy, and Amy, for all your amazing insight and wonderful wisdom. We really appreciate your participation today, and also for the amazing impact that you've had on the PH community. So we thank you. So with that, here is your next and last opportunity for any questions. I know that there must be some questions out there. Please feel free to shout them out if you want. Your lines are unmuted.
And this is Amy. I would just also add, I'm happy if we want to blog or share my email address. I'm happy if people just have quick questions as they're planning for their event. How did this work for you? What do you think about this? Do you have a template for that? I mean, we're all working towards the same thing, so I'm happy to help, time permitting, if people are in event planning mode and want to pick a brain of someone that's done this a few times.
Great. That's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, we can certainly circulate that to participants post-webinar and beyond.
Yeah, I agree. I'm willing to help anybody. I've already had somebody call me.
Yeah.
They got my name from somebody else. And so I'm always willing to chat and, help and share my templates too. Because, I think that, working together, we're all doing work, working together is going to help create more awareness and help find a cure.
Absolutely. It looks like we have a question from Teresa.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
This is Teresa. My question is, it's actually more asking for suggestions on the type of event that might be suitable for a very rural area. We don't have a local support group here at this point. The closest support group to where I'm living is about 90 miles and about 120 miles. So it's a rural area.
The thing, maybe this is Jenna, and I can't speak from an event planner's perspective, obviously, but I can speak to what some event planners that I've worked with have done who are kind of in more remote areas. I would say that if you kind of tap into what is available in your community, so if you belong to a church and there's a fundraiser that you can do in conjunction with your church, or if there's a local hall where people gather to play bingo or to play cards or that sort of thing. I think if there are any community resources like that where people already get together in a group setting, that's a great way to spin that into a fundraiser and spin that into awareness raising as well. So not necessarily having to reinvent the wheel, but like Joanne said, if you start off small and think of some of the things that are already going on in your community or close by that people are interested in and enjoy doing, that's something to consider.
Bowling alley?
Yeah, I mean anything like that. Yeah.
Well, this town does have some events. It's a small town.
Yeah.
But that gives me a good place to start.
Yeah. Yep.
Thanks, Teresa.
So what we would do, we would just kind of ride on the coattails of another event, not a standalone event.
Yeah, I mean you could do it either way. I think obviously you would want to talk to the organization or the people that that are already hosting that and just kind of gauge their input. But yeah, I mean that has been done. That has been done, and they've been successful in getting participants and having people excited about it. So.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's just wrap up the presentation. If you want to keep in touch with us after this webinar, there are several ways to do that. First, feel free to visit our events calendar online. This will have a listing of all of our special events, so you can browse by month and it will show you what state they're taking place in. So even if you're thinking about doing an event but aren't quite ready to take the plunge, you could even get involved in an existing event. We also have Eventful Times, which is an e-newsletter made especially for our special events community. And so to sign up to receive all issues of Eventful Times, you can go to phassociation.org/special events/organize an event. And on the right side of the page, you'll see a way to sign up for that newsletter. And then we also have a special events forum, which is our email group. So this is a great way for special event organizers to communicate with each other as a group. And to request membership for that, you can email me, and my email address is jessicam@phassociation.org. And then, of course, in addition to being able to get mentorship and help from other event organizers, you do have people on PHA staff that are here to help. So right now it's myself for first-time event organizers. My name's Jess McKieran, and you can contact me at 301-565-3004, extension 765, or again by email at jessicam@phassociation.org. And then for event planners planners that are in their second year or beyond. It's Jenna Rowe, and she's at PHA's main line at extension 742, or Jenna at phassociation.org. And Jenna will be with us until June 10th, at which time we're so sorry to see her leave, but she will be relocating back to her home state of Indiana. And we will be missing her a lot, and we thank her so much for all of her wonderful work with event organizers throughout the country. And then beginning on June 13th, Leslie Mahaney will be joining PHA's team to work with repeat event organizers. So if you're thinking about a Fall or an Awareness Month special event, we are your go-to people. And before we leave today, we just want to thank our sponsor. Our e-learning events are made possible through a grant from Pfizer. And then again, a very, very special thanks to all of our panelists and to our participants on today's webinar. So thank you everyone so much. We will be posting a recording to this webinar online, so keep an eye out for that. And if you know of anyone that's interested in special events or maybe missed today's webinar, you can encourage them to visit our website in the coming days to listen to the playback. All right, well thank you again to everyone, and we hope to stay in touch with you all.